You see, I don't care who says that I have fallen off and I am no longer relevant in the world of YouTube. Because if I was irrelevant, would I cat sit for other famous YouTubers? No, I wouldn't. I'm back, baby. Back in the limelight.
This is what they mean when they talk about, like, YouTubers doing collabs together. Here's the collaboration. I look after your cat. You be not present.
Yeah, you go off and have a successful career, right? And I will feed your cat. Apologies to the listeners for my audio quality not being grand. I am legit cat sitting at the moment for the Stupendium. So I am in Birmingham, the birthplace of the Electric Light Orchestra, and it's the only thing I know or care about when it comes to Birmingham is it's where ELO came from as part of the Brumbeat movement.
I know one other fact, and then a connected, it makes me think of a thing, which is that it's sometimes called Brum, and that is also the name of a little car what was on TV decades ago in the UK.
It does. I'm still really gutted about back up in Yorkshire, where I normally reside. We were in town once, and across the road was a bookshop, and they had in the bookshop a life-size Brum. I immediately stopped. I think I might have been talking to Faye, and I just stopped mid-sentence. Didn't give a fuck anymore about anything else. Without a beat, I crossed the street, walked right in, pointed at Brum and said, "Are you selling that Brum?" And they weren't selling the Brum, and I was absolutely devastated.
Look, if that Brum is still there, you're no longer in that neck of the woods. You wouldn't be a suspect. If you went back and stole it, no one would know it was you.
That's true, and the last place anyone would look for Brum would be Brum.
No one's gonna look in Brum for Brum.
Right? They'll be like, we can't, that's the last place they'd look because of some logic. Oh, mate. Brum, for those who don't know, because obviously we have a lot of American listeners. Yeah, as Laura said, it's a little car like Herbie, but it's got little pupils in its headlamps so that it's got proper eyes, and it doesn't kill girls that know its owner like Christine, but that would be awesome. I would pay to watch a Christine remake with Brum instead of Christine. Christine's a film about a killer car.
I assume from context.
Yeah. That's me. I've got nothing else to report because I'm just lounging around looking at cats walking about, which is actually a pretty good time.
Right, there are worse ways to spend your time than hanging out with some cats. You know what else we could do with that time, if forced, is talk about some video games. That thing that we sometimes do here on Podquisition.
I've heard of those.
Yeah.
They're the future wave of digital entertainment.
That's what I hear. Have any of you engaged with the future of digital entertainment?
Not in a meaningful way that I want to admit to.
I engaged with the past of digital entertainment and had a miserable time.
Conrad, I have to ask you the follow-up question. Have you shamefully engaged with video games?
Maybe a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
I played a little Grand Theft Auto 4.
Oh, okay.
I've been thinking of going back to that one because it's one of the harder ones to play now.
It's on Steam. The PC version of it works well enough. I guess ever since they collected everything into a collection, like all the DLCs, by that point everything like ran well enough. You can still get texture packs for it and shit like that. I didn't bother. Yeah, I was interested in getting back to it and playing it again too, just because I wanted to be Nico. I think Nico's the best protagonist that they.
He's the one good guy in the entire series. He's the one decent chap for a given value.
Yeah, right. He's very much like, look, my situation might not permit me to always do the right thing, but like at the end of the day, he doesn't want to hurt anyone. He's just getting by.
And yet it's also the one that has like the make the choice as to which of these bad people you're going to kill in in its system. It does that a lot. So it has you make these moral choices.
I mean, it was the done thing. I've been thinking about the 7th generation a lot in that regards, and everything had to have those fucking choices.
Right.
Well, it's a video game. We need to assert that we're unique as an art form, and that means we can choose stuff sometimes.
Yeah, but I like him. He's down to earth. He's not aggrandizing in any way. He doesn't take shit from any of these people, which I find fascinating because he also does it in a way that doesn't offend any of them. He feels fully formed. I appreciate that he expresses a bit of like shame about using the services of a sex worker.
I was actually going to bring that up. Like, I agree with you. Nico is well-rounded. He's a great protagonist, and especially for that time period of games, he's one of the really good ones. But sometimes there is a bit of a conflict where it's like, yeah, you can still have him use a sex worker, except he'll go, I feel bad about this. Maturity has come to the video game world. But it always felt like it was Rockstar's attempt to be grown up. We're adults now. We have grown into, we were once boys and we have grown into men because he feels bad about knocking someone in his car. And the cops don't die. They writhe. They writhe.
Yeah.
And some of it feels cynical, but some of it feels quite earnest. And it's, I think it's sad that it's been forgotten so much because 5 came out. But I think 5 is great stuff. But 5 kind of completely overshadowed it because 4 was kind of supposed to be the start of a new series of games. But we had 4, then 5 came out. Everyone talked about 5 so much. And 4 feels like the forgotten child now of the series.
And 5 feels like return to form territory, like in terms of tone.
Yeah.
4's, I don't want to say it's po-faced, because I don't think that's necessarily the extent, but it's definitely trying to present something that is less cartoonish than a lot of the other games, which is not to say that it doesn't have those cartoonish qualities and ridiculous characters and things like that. But there is sort of a patina of serious drama that sort of exists over all of it. And, I appreciate that aspect of it.
It's almost like the GTA equivalent of a low fantasy setting.
Yeah. Yeah. It really is. So anyway, I mean, I am enjoying it. The driving is still, like, you forget. Particularly having played Grand Theft Auto 5 and seeing them make cars that drive really well again.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yeah,
boy.
I remember because I reviewed it, and it's not brought up often, but I heard through the grapevine that Rockstar blacklisted me for it because I dared give it an 8 out of 10. And I never got it 100% confirmed because it came from, a man called who we both knew, Conrad, who was an inveterate liar.
Yeah.
But I did bring it up jokingly with a Rockstar rep once, and they didn't deny it when I said I'd heard that you're blacklisted to me. All I heard was, well, we're a very different company these days. That's all I got. So it might be true, but that was my big thing. It was like, there's a lot in this game I like, but the cars are like driving a bar of soap on spunky water. I remember not liking them.
Thank Christ the cab system in the game is really good. Introducing that cab system and then very quickly making it so you don't have to pay for a cab. Those are all good things. They really sort of soften the blow. But for a game that, centers almost everything around its vehicles, for fuck's sake, the game's called Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
You would think that every car wouldn't feel like you were on ice all the time. But you do. And it's just that way.
A big part of me wants to replay it because I do have fond memories of it. But I feel like that would stop me. Like after a while, I just have to stop playing because of those cars. I would love a remaster that fixed that specifically.
I mean, it 3 hours in, I have gotten accustomed. Like you can sort of learn to work against your natural. Every other car in video games works under a certain set of rules. Why doesn't this one frustration? It's not impossible to do that. You can adjust. It's still frustrating when you wind up spinning out because you held that handbrake a little, like half second too long. But it's manageable. It does. I'm not so frustrated by it that I feel I'm gonna quit anytime soon.
Yeah.
And I'm only like a third of the way through the game, so.
I remember the reviews it got at the time. It's one of the things that sort of one of my first inklings, because I wasn't mega established yet in games media.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember seeing the reviews for that and thinking, wow, the games criticism business is in need of some people who don't think like these people.
Yeah.
People, this is the Godfather of video games. This is the finest
there was a Godfather
work of
video
art.
game, and it was really good. Like, they didn't have to do that. No, it's overblown, but that's not to say that it isn't really good.
Oh yeah, I'm not, like I say, I gave it an 8 out of 10. I think it's great. I just remember at the time, like, that was my first real look at what would become a cycle of new big game is the best thing ever, and then a few months later we realized that everyone was overexcited, and even though the thing is still great, it's not the pinnacle of entertainment. Come the fuck on.
Yep. Anyway, that's what I've been doing. What have you been up to?
So I think I mentioned Sacred 2 last week.
You did?
Yeah. I've stopped playing that now. My review went up. I gave it a 2 out of 10. And I get no joy from that because I have a very particular fondness for Sacred 2. It came out at a very formative time in my life. It's not a good game, not a particularly good game, but it's got wonderfully dumb humor, and it's a shame that the developers seem to think that it's this complex hardcore experience when it's actually a really casual game, and I mean that as a compliment, because it's just hold down the button and kobolds run at you, and then you get showered in loot and XP. And if they hadn't insisted on everything having to be so fiddly and a really overly complicated UI and no modern conveniences, we can't have a respec system, we want you to think about what you're doing, like with the fucking restrictions on the cooldown abilities and all that shit. They really needed to lean into streamlining that shit. Unfortunately, that's the least of the game's problems. I must have lost more than 2 hours of progress all collected up in that game, because one of their hardcore things is very limited autosaving. I think it autosaves if you go to the one resurrection point that you need to manually set every time you're at one. Otherwise, you've got to remember to manually save constantly, which I do for a while until the ADHD takes hold. And by that point, an hour or so has passed, and then the game crashes. And it is one of the most broken things I've played in a long time. And I don't know how you can take a game from 15 years that, while admittedly was janky, was not this, and absolutely fucking ruin it. It has been vandalized. They are not just frequent bugs in that game. They are relentless bugs. Every time I started the game up, something new was broken, as if the very act of turning it on broke it. Abilities not triggering, or the wrong abilities triggering from what's selected, or the abilities triggering too much. Every merchant had a clone by the end of it. More clones seemed to appear every time I booted the game up. So every single blacksmith, every single merchant, there's a normal model of theirs that's kind of sensibly stood or briefly milling, and one that's just running around as if it knows it shouldn't be. They have separate inventories, so you do double the amount of wares you can buy. And then it started almost like an infection. I was noticing more and more other random NPCs started to have clones. And I am worried that if I'd have kept going, I wouldn't have been able to move through the world. I'd have to like swim through an ocean of flesh because it is starting to get eldritch. I said in the review, like, it's a glimpse into an abject nightmare where everyone's got doppelgangers and the world is unstable and horses glide along the ground with their legs spasming wildly and a huge clattering noise deafens them all. Like, if it was done on purpose, it would be an amazing meta horror game. But unfortunately, it's just horror. It's just a sad, horrible game. And I'm stunned. I am stunned as to how this could have happened. You'd have had to have taken a hammer to it. Especially because, like, the only things that have been noticeably changed are the stuff we talked about last week, which I now remember, yeah, because we were talking about the UI. Like, they put in effort to take things out of it. And in their wake, they've absolutely trashed the place. And it sucks. I really tried to power through all of the issues. But the last crash that I had before I stopped, it was a bridge too far. I'm like, I'm not going to keep wasting my time on this. Absolute shame.
That's, yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea what was actually remastered about it. Like, yeah, it's upscaled. The graphics are no better than I remember them being. Like, they look fucking basic. If you'd have sat someone who didn't know what the game was, if you'd have sat someone like that down in front of it and said, this is something I found dumpster diving on Steam, like the real Dreg level Steam games, I think someone could have believed that. Looking at that game at its worst. Absolutely stunned. It just feels...
Yeah, that's real disappointing.
Absolutely gutting. But that, unfortunately, is the Sacred 2 experience. Cannot recommend it. And even if someone's waiting to buy it when it's fixed, I don't know how fixed that's going to get, because it is in such an inexcusable state. It's one of those games where it's like, if you thought this was acceptable to launch, exactly how much work are you planning to put into it now? Because this is not acceptable. So I question your judgment as a designer.
Yeah. I played something this week that I talked about last week, and I thankfully have much more positive opinions about when I come back to it this week. I got to play the final couple of episodes of Dispatch, that superhero telltale adventure game / superhero management dispatching sim. It sticks the landing very well. I'm very pleased with it as an overall game. I want to talk about this in a very specific context that has brought me a lot of joy this week, which is, there's been this whole thing going around online where for a few days after the final episodes went up, some people thought the game was bugged because they did not get a good ending despite quote-unquote, I can't see what decisions I made that would have stopped me getting that good ending. To the point that I had some people asking me how I got the ending that I got that went very well, and I'm like, I don't know. So I dig into it. I start looking at people who are like digging into the code of this game and working out like what leads to the good endings. And here's what people seem to have come to. At its core, this is a game about taking a bunch of former criminals and trying to build them up into a team of people doing good for their community. And whether you are successful in, at the end, having a group of people who are reformed and do not go back to criminal activity is largely to do with whether you act in a way that I would describe as prison abolitionist, maybe pro-criminal reform. A lot of things that are not just the dialogue choices you are picking, but also more subtle little game actions you're doing along the way, are basically keeping tabs on how much are you giving these former criminals the kind of grace to be able to make mistakes that you would give to someone that society has deemed quote-unquote a good person.
So it's a cop in your brain simulator?
It is a... How much can you... If you want to get the good ending in this, you have to resist the cop in your brain that is telling you, well, that's a bad person, so the fact they've done that, that's just a sign they're going back to being bad again.
Oh.
Are you okay, Conrad?
I'm in love.
Yeah. Right.
I haven't heard a side like that ever.
Right, this is a game that constantly puts in front of you, like, this person who society has labelled a bad person because they did something bad previously, has done something that, at a glance, does not look good for them. Are you willing to give them the space and the trust that they are trying to reform, and that, like, the space to make mistakes and to have a bit of benefit of the doubt that you would give someone who you've mentally categorized as good?
It's
interesting. I like the sound of that.
Right? And this is where people are getting the bad ending, is they're trying to shortcut mentoring someone into criminal reform. Like, it is a game that is at its core really about the idea of, do you treat people's crimes in the past as something that should be continually in the present and future punished, or as something that they have served their time for, and that they should be given a clean slate if they want to do good with their life?
That's fantastic to hear. That
right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Genuinely, I really like it. I'm not going to say the game is perfect. It's at least on launch day, the final 2 episodes were a little bit buggy. I believe that's been fixed now. Kind of hindered my first experience of the final episode, was just a couple of things hadn't been caught and caused a couple of problems, but that's sort of been smoothed out. Generally speaking, I really like the world they've built. I like the character writing. I like this really goofy little found family of rehabilitated criminals. And I think that there is more depth and complexity to the hero dispatching gameplay portion of this than I expected. I've been continually impressed at how much game there is to this Telltale adventure. Yeah, dispatch is really bloody good.
Yeah, I think I've got enough cleared off my docket that I can actually sit down and play it now, so I might spend some of my sort of cat-sitting time away really getting into that, because everything you've said up to now sounds great.
Yeah, it's maybe 8 hours long total to play the whole thing. It's very neatly, one episode is pretty bang on 1 hour. So it's pretty good to just be able to parcel out time to chip away at.
Yeah, because it's everything you've described sounds like it's something I absolutely need to play before the year-end honours period starts up.
Yeah.
Because it seems like it's going to need consideration.
Yeah, it's really jumped up. It is more thoughtful in what it is doing narratively, and more mechanically interesting than I have seen out of this genre in a while. And I'm very curious if they come back to this well, but if not, I want to see this team do more stuff, because this is real impressive. Conrad, have you played anything else, or was that your one thing this week?
No, that's really all I've done this week.
Okay, well, what about you, Steph? What else have you been playing this week?
I played Dragon Ball Z Sparking Zero this week.
How did you find it?
I don't know what's happening. I'm not a big fan of Dragon Ball Z, but when I was a lot younger, I watched the anime from the beginning of it. Not the Dragon Ball, but specifically Dragon Ball Z, because that came to Cartoon Network in the UK at that time. And they made a big deal of it, and I watched from the beginning of that up till I started to peter out around the end of the Cell saga with the big green fella.
Consuming everyone and getting more perfect.
Yeah. And I liked all that. I found the villains very fun. I just thought it was a very fun, silly thing to watch.
It's a very camp anime.
Yeah.
It's very silly. It doesn't take itself too seriously, and it's very exaggerated.
Yeah, and I appreciate all of that. But I did fall off after that. I don't know why. I guess I just sort of had my fill. It does mean I don't know half of these characters.
You don't know why, now when Goku turns Super Saiyan, he gets blue hair for some reason, and
yeah, I don't know any of that shit.
You're not aware of Beerus, the sort of cat person.
No, I just about remember Majin Buu because I know that came after Cell, and I saw little bits of that, but anything past that.
Yeah, once you get past that, you get into Dragon Ball Super, which is the more modern stuff, which admittedly I've kind of enjoyed Dragon Ball Super, but Dragon Ball Super is very much putting a hat on a hat. It's we didn't know what to do with Dragon Ball, so we just kind of put more Dragon Ball on top of it for a while.
Fair enough. The problem with Dragon Ball when it comes to games is because of the very nature of it, it has almost entirely lent itself to fighting games, which, as we've talked about before, is a genre I don't get on with unless it is like Street Fighter 6. Where it's got the modern controls and I can get into it. So along comes this Sparking Zero. It came to Switch recently, and I know it came out, it was out quite a while ago before that, but it turned up and I'm like, I kind of want to play it. So I went on the my Trash Palace Discord server and sort of just said, has anyone played this? There's no demo. How is it controls wise and all of that, and learned that it's very much a button masher more than a fighting game.
It's in the style of the old like PS2 era Budokai Tenkaichi Dragon Balls,
and it's got some options in that for like simplified combos and all of that. So I played it. The tutorial kind of talked me through the basics of it, and ever since then I have just been literally mashing buttons, just hitting. I kind of have the best structure of it, and for the most part I win. I'm not sure why I lose when I lose, but half the time I'm not sure why I won when I won. But I do know that I can be one of a dozen different Freezers, and that makes me pleased because I like Freezer a lot. Freezer is just everything that I like in a heel.
Oh yeah,
just the perfect blend of camp, effeminate arsehole, which I've always tried to portray in my own endeavors as a heel in wrestling. I don't know what's going on. And the character's not transforming anymore because I can choose any stage of Freezer or Cell that I want, and I can make them tag team with each other, and I don't know what's going on. I think it's good.
It's a bit of a ridiculous sandbox of a thing, because like I've played some Sparking Zero, and the thing I enjoyed about it as someone that like got back into Dragon Ball for a bit and was like, oh yeah, I'll play around with this, is I like the story mode where you can make choices of like, hey, what would have, in theory, I like this mode where you can be like, what if so-and-so hadn't saved this person, how would the story have played out? The problem being that most of those, like, oh, I'll see what could have happened if things went different, it's kind of boring and not interesting. It's like, oh, I see why the story didn't go that way, it wouldn't have really gone anywhere, I see.
What if you made the decision that the writers didn't think were good?
Yeah, and then you get to watch it and go, yeah, I see why that wouldn't have been as interesting a story now. Anyway, back to the main plot. But, like, there's a bit of my curiosity that gets quelled there, and I do like having far too many versions of the same character to choose from, so I'm looking at the character select screen right now. I'm counting 8 Freezers that I can currently see on a character select screen. You can have Frieza, slightly buffer Frieza, mechanical Frieza, slightly more svelte Frieza, gold Frieza, Frieza with his scouter on, big Frieza with his scouter on, Frieza who doesn't have a mouth anymore.
Yeah, they promise over 150 playable characters. I don't know how many of that is just Frieza.
If you were to instead boil them down to, like, character and their alt costumes and make that one character, I think you'd be down to, like, 15 characters, probably. Yeah. But,
in fairness, it is a lot. Like, even if we took them out, there's quite a few. And I think it's good. I don't know what it is with, like, every character I pick, the regular combo string looks exactly the same, which I don't like. Because they all attack and fight and punch the same way, and I don't feel like they should, but they do. But all the different... They have their special moves, and sometimes they work, and that's good. I'm very overwhelmed by it, I think, at the moment, because I haven't had proper time to really sink my teeth into it and take my time with it. And the menu is full of stuff, and I don't know what half of it is. But I think it's a good game. I think it's a good time. I don't understand it. But it is nice to be that horrible little white and purple troll again. Because I played a bit of the Budokai games, and I just did what I always do with that, and then I play as Cell for a bit, and then I play as Frisia for a bit, and then I say I am done here.
It's a sandbox to go, I want to see a bunch of anime people fly around at speed and punch each other, and maybe that'll awaken something in me. Maybe I'll feel good for a bit.
Yeah.
As I fire some lasers and do a punch.
They do a real good job of simulating that idea that the floor is optional. For these people, they constantly fly around, and just because of the way you're dodging and rushing around, it so seamlessly goes from we are on the ground to we are in the air to now we're fighting in the middle of a lake.
It sets the scale of, like, the world is the arena feeling.
Yeah, I think they do that very well. The voices are quite good. They all sound like I remember them from the old anime, which is cool. Yeah, it's... I don't care for the constant onlineiness of it, which has made the menus really laggy because it seems to try and connect to something every time I go to the main menu.
Yeah.
But aside from that, it looks like there's a ton of stuff in it, and I'm going to try and get to grips with it a bit more because I feel like I could have fun with it.
Oh, side note, this has reminded me of... I haven't played the newest Call of Duty, but I did hear a thing about it the other day that,
God.
You know... So, the new Call of Duty has a single-player campaign.
Yeah.
You can't play it offline. And you can't pause it.
Mm-hmm.
Presumably because what it is an online map that they're just putting you, a singular player, into. And because it's an online map that you, the single player, and you can't pause it because you can't pause multiplayer, I guess is what's going on.
Yeah.
I heard of people getting kicked for AFK in cutscenes.
Yep. Yep. It is treating it like you are in an online match that, like, you might be bothering other players, despite the fact you're the single player in it.
Everything I've heard about that game is absolutely disgusting. Obviously, the AI rip-off of Studio Ghibli that's in it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, not even appropriate artistically. It's just theft. All that stuff with the single player. The fact that, from what I've heard of the single player, it's just one big rip-off of Spec Ops: The Line. Yeah, it seems like an absolute atrocious shit show. Like a real how dare they kind of game.
Is this the first post-merger release for the series? Is this the first one?
Yes.
Oh, boy.
Yes.
Oh, boy.
Well.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Microsoft wanting that 30% profit bullshit? Like, really?
I mean, the industry's in a wild state. Like, I know it's not the newsy bit time, but I'm going to throw one other out here while we're at it for just, like, these companies being in shambles. Did you hear that last week, Ubisoft shut down all trading on shares in their company and didn't release their earnings report? And it's been nearly a week and they still haven't done it?
That sounds like something the federal government might do here.
Yeah. Either their financials are terrible and they don't want to announce it, or someone's trying to buy them. Don't know what's going on there, but yeah, they were just like, no, we won't tell you what we earned, and no, you can't buy or sell shares. Stop asking why.
I mean, it does not look good at all. To not reveal those numbers. Now, yeah, they are trying to sell themselves. It's not impossible that there's some offer on the table and they don't want to spook wherever, they're trying to court money from. But
yeah, doing it 15 minutes before you're supposed to put the numbers out and then just not saying anything for a week is
it's a choice.
If you were worried about spooking investors, I feel like this is a move that spooks investors.
Yeah, I would think. Yeah. It just doesn't sound. It doesn't sound like things are going well over there, I guess.
No,
the Assassin's Creed the last Assassin's Creed did not do numbers as I understand it, if I'm remembering correctly.
I don't know. Let's have a look. Do we know what it sold? Estimated to have sold between 2.4 and 3.4 million.
It's not terrible. It's not, a barn burner.
It's not terrible by rational human standards.
Sure.
But by the standards of a video game executive, that probably seems disastrous.
Yeah. Reading at a glance, that was considered disappointing based on the high budget of the game. They expected 3 to 4 million in the first month. Yeah, so not great.
Yeah, so I mean that could be a bellwether. Yeah. Hard to say. It does not sound good for Ubisoft. That I will sign on for.
Fucking mainstream game industry.
Isn't it just?
The pipe has come with the receipt at last. And unfortunately, the executives that ran that debt up are going to make the employees pay it. But I really think we are now at the culmination of everything I spent the last decade warning everyone about. We're here now. We're in the thick of that. We are in an absolute fucking free fall as a result of years of systematic level destruction that has been wreaked on the game industry. And all of them are going to look at Clair Obscur and wonder how they managed to weather it. And it's by not being them. Like, they're going to look at games. Well, they have been looking at games like Balatro, and they're like, how do we have that? And I'm like, you will never have that, because you can't tap into that kind of mindset. You will never have the games you want, because you will never make the games you want, because you don't want the games you want. You want to take the games that are succeeding where your asses are failing, and you want to break them until they fit your idea of what a game should be. And your idea of what a game should be is the reason the industry is fucked right now, you cunts.
So yeah, stuff we've been playing.
Oh yeah.
I realised there's a thing I could talk about on here that I haven't talked about from a few weeks ago, because I've brought up a few times. I've been really enjoying Bridge Command, this thing in London where I go pretend to do a Star Trek. And largely I've had to be really vague about, like, the specifics of, like, the experiences I've had, because, like, I don't want to spoil a thing for if someone goes and does the mission I've described on Podquisition. Oh no, you know what's coming. But they did, over Halloween a couple of weeks ago, do a couple of, like, we're only doing these Halloween missions for a week, and they won't be run again after that, which means I can talk about those ones pretty safely. So I want to talk about a cool Halloween experience I had, despite it being mid to late November at this point. They put on a really good mission over Halloween called Silo. It was a cross between being in the movie Alien and an escape room. The gist of it was, hey, this ship has broken down in space. You lot get on a little shuttle. We'll sort of autopilot the shuttle to the ship. You go board it, try and help, like, here's the members of the crew you're going to meet, like, go meet them, try and repair the ship, get it back up and running before, like, the big ship arrives to come collect you all. And you get there, you step into the airlock, and the first thing you see is all of the walls have scrawled on them, be quiet, be incredibly quiet. The door behind you that shuts has a get out now. And it's like, okay. And entering this completely dark ship with doors that wouldn't open because there's not enough power to open them. No crew, but their uniforms are there. Like, just empty uniforms, which is far scarier than no crew at all.
Yeah.
And over the course of about an hour and a half to 2 hours, we went through what started as, like, trying to unravel what happened, trying to, like, work out ways to get the power on enough to, like, get onto the bridge of the ship and get into the other rooms. And by the end of it, they did such a fucking good job with sound design for this, of making it sound like there was a thing crawling around in the walls on the other side of doors. There's a point we jerry-rigged a door to lock it behind us, and it just sounded like something fucking huge slamming the door on the other side. We had a very, very interesting experience of how do you lure a creature off of the ship to maybe kill it before the big ship arrives and docks with you, because, like, we've got no power, we can't send a message to them to go, do not dock with us, there is a fucking xenomorph or whatever on here, we cannot let it get onto the main station. I was damn impressed with their gameplay design, in terms of taking a set that is usually used for a one very basic purpose, simulate the roles of flying a ship, and create something mechanically very different with it, and at how well they were able to repurpose a set that usually, because it's in space, you don't hear any particular sounds coming from outside of the ship, into one that felt so claustrophobic as if on the other side of a wall there were things ready to get you.
Really cool.
It was real cool. It was a 1 week only thing, and therefore, like, that mission isn't running again now, but
yeah.
It was a damn good experience that I just wanted to go, I can actually be specific about a bridge command mission I did, and it was real cool. It was very clear some people on that team have a real love for properly, like, drawing out tension. Alien in space encounter horror, where the scariest thing is not knowing what's on the other side of the door. The fact that you never see the thing used to great effect.
Yeah, that sounds grand.
Yeah. That was a fun thing I did recently. What about you, Steph? What's the other game you played this week?
So I needed to scratch the itch that Sacred 2 had left and had nothing immediate to hand, but I had Halls of Torment, and I hadn't played that for a while. So that's really what I've been doing as a spare time thing, going back into Halls of Torment, which is that Vampire Survivors style game, but with a Diablo look and feel to it. I hadn't played the Boglands, which was a DLC map that came out. That's cool. Very difficult. I started the game from scratch again, and it's going to be ages, I think, until I can unlock the 2 new characters, because the Boglands comes with the Crone, who fights with plants, and the Alchemist. God knows when I'm going to get them, because I've started with a fresh file, and the Boglands is really hard, and it's full of bugs. But yeah, game is still really good. I really enjoy it. It's not the best post-Vampire Survivors game, because nothing will be Bone Razor minions, but it's definitely up there. I don't have a lot really to say about it that I haven't already said in, like, my review and on previous Podquisitions, but if you like those games and still have mileage in the tank for them and haven't checked this one out, this is worth putting on the radar, I'd say. It's one of the higher quality ones for definite. So yeah, Halls of Torment still really good.
With that, should we talk a couple of newsy bits before we wrap this week?
We should.
I could do with cheering myself up. Let's talk about the game industry.
Well, we'll get Rockstar out of the way first, because we talked about this recently. The fact that Rockstar fired. Apparently, we have a solid number now. It is 31 employees across Canada and the UK who it sure seems like they were fired for unionizing, and Rockstar is going, no, we fired them for discussing workplace matters with non-work employees, e.g., discussing the reasons they want to unionize with union organizers, and that's apparently not union busting according to them. This has blown up to the point where This got brought up in British Parliament this week.
Oh.
Christine Jardine, the Liberal Democrat member of Parliament for Edinburgh West, brought it up. She noted, video game company Rockstar has sacked more than 30 workers across the UK, including constituents working at their Edinburgh office. I've urged ministers to support workers who have lost their jobs and stop this from happening again. There was a full-on parliamentary debate about the fact that, hey, it sure does look like this company wrongfully fired a bunch of people. We should support those fired workers and stop this kind of behaviour happening from employers, which I never expect the UK government to pay any fucking attention to the bullshit the video game industry is doing.
No.
Let alone this quickly.
It's reached a point now where the quote-unquote white-collar jobs are being come for. And, you know, they managed as an industry to skirt the existence of unions for a very, very long time. But now, because of the squeeze that the executives have put themselves under and their demand from investors, they now have been squeezing the employees to the point where there either aren't jobs or the jobs that are there aren't up to snuff.
Yeah.
And that this is the result. So I think it's interesting that we are seeing union activity in games as sort of one of the first tech industry businesses to start to see a real press for unionization. But I do think that there is real potential for this to start to spread to other big tech businesses.
I think it's going to have to, if anything's to survive. I don't know how likely this is because it's amazing it was brought up, but like yourself, look, there's no reason to trust the UK government to ever get it done. But if this led, if Rockstar's decision and awful behaviour ended up enshrining more rights for games industry workers, I will seriously be hospitalized from laughing. Like, I will fall ill because I will have been laughing so much.
And you know what? I want to give credit to Jardine for the way she presented this to Parliament, because, like, whenever I hear video game thing got brought up to Parliament, I always just assume it's going to be, like, from someone who does not understand the argument they are making. And I will read a little bit from what she said in Parliament. The workers claim they have been sacked because they were trying to unionise and were discussing working conditions in private with union organisers. Rockstar has accused them of distributing confidential information and sacked them for gross misconduct. I have written to Rockstar to attempt to get further information on the issue, but want to meet with relevant ministers to discuss what steps can be taken to support the affected employees. That's a pretty good, like, I understand the argument, like, the arguments being made. I'm trying to get more info, and I want to support the workers in the meantime.
Yeah. Did you say it was Edinburgh?
Yeah, Edinburgh.
That'll be a big part of explaining it, is a Scottish politician, ergo, typically 10 times better than an English politician.
Yeah, and also obviously the fact that Rockstar North is in Edinburgh, so it's, you know, it is a relevant thing to business in the area.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, like if you are one of those precious few politicians who actually give a shit about your constituents, this is absolutely something you should care about. Because no, it's not just games. And it is affecting people in your area. This absolutely should be looked into. Like this, there needs to be an inquiry about what Rockstar has done. Because it seems like what Rockstar did was, what's that word? Gross misconduct? It seems like that's what Rockstar has done.
Yeah. So now we've got to talk about Krafton, or Krafton, I think they're called, the publisher that has Subnautica, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds.
Oh my god, this is one of the game industry stories I have ever heard in my fucking life.
We got two phases to this story, so we'll start with the first one that was like a week ago. where publisher Krafton announced that they were going to transform into a AI-first company, which was going to involve getting rid of human jobs and having a, quote, voluntary resignation scheme to get rid of workers and replace them with AI. This was announced in October, and, like, it's sort of going into effect now that they're trying to... Last week, I think the step was, please voluntarily resign so that we don't have to have employees and can have AI. It's not great. It's not a great start. Should we jump from there to the other AI story about Krafton this week?
Oh, yes, please.
Krafton's CEO allegedly asked AI to brainstorm ways to avoid paying earn-out bonuses to Subnautica 2's developers. Because he was reportedly scared of looking like a, quote, pushover.
I have to laugh, because crying is the only other response.
Yeah.
I have to laugh. And I have to focus on the fact that the pushover who did this should be humiliated. This is humiliating. For many levels. There are so many, like, portions of this cake that is rich in embarrassment for this person. But holy fuck, like, this is where we're at now. And
yeah.
it speaks volumes about the executive mindset in that they are so bereft of ideas. And, like, this is why they think that AI can make games, because these are some of the most artless and uncreative minds on the planet. These people think AI can do everything because they don't know what it takes to have an original idea. So they think we can just copy, we can just regurgitate. And a video game executive using ChatGPT to figure out how to not pay developers is the game industry best.
I want to give, like, a little bit of reminder for people of, like, where this story is originating from. So, earlier this year, we got the news that Subnautica 2 wasn't going to be going into early access in 2025 as planned, and that had been pushed to 2026. They claimed it was for further polish work or whatever, but people working on the game started issuing statements going, no, it's ready, they're delaying it to 2026 to avoid paying all of us that worked on the game bonuses that, like, if we release into early access now, we will be eligible for these bonuses, but if the game does not release until 2026, we won't get paid those bonuses. They are delaying it purely to not pay us those bonuses. Allegedly, the situation was that the CEO of the company allegedly worried they'd paid too much to acquire Unknown Worlds. Doing the payouts to the Subnautica developers would earn him a reputation as a pushover and endanger his position as CEO. So he starts, like, messaging other members of the executive team ideas of ways to avoid this. One of the ideas being, like, if there was a potential takeover, or, like, they changed who was in charge of the company, that might be, like, a loophole they could exploit. And then he goes to ChatGPT, basically because the head of corporate development was like, no, if we go into early access, you will have to pay them. Regardless of, like, dismissal with cause, if you fire them, you're still going to have to pay them. Like, you can't, like, fire the workers to get out of paying them.
Yeah.
You can't, like, do a bit of company mismanagement to, like, avoid paying them. If the game comes out, you're going to have to pay them. So yeah, he just fucking goes to ChatGPT to go, find me an answer, how do I do it?
That's pathetic. That's pathetic. If he was worried about how he looked before now, like, if that was enough to threaten his position as CEO, all I can ask is, why is he still the CEO right now? Because this is so much more pitiful. What a sad little fucker. That's just fucking sad.
It is the sort of thing that, like, you should just resign in shame over. Yeah. Right?
Absolutely. You should go.
Like, just hang your head and just be like, you know what? I have realized that I am not fit for purpose.
Yeah. You are a defective product, sir. Please vacate. I genuinely struggle to like properly vocalize just how humiliating this is. But I think it should be brought up to this person every day for the rest of their life.
Okay, maybe not the rest of their life, but for the remainder of the time on this earth that they are a game industry executive.
Yes.
As long as you are in that role, you should never be allowed to forget that you did this.
Until he gets the fuck out of my industry, be reminded of this every single fucking day.
You know, because I just want to keep our abolition mindset, you know, going here. Once they're no longer causing harm.
Yeah, but remember, the abolition mindset is for people who you not executives.
I've got a light-hearted story to end us off on today. I say light-hearted mainly because it involves Jeff Keighley being a little bit embarrassed because he fucked up a little bit, and that amuses me. The nominees for Jeff Keighley's The Game Awards Game Advertisements Game Awards next month for their various categories got announced this week. And one of the categories is Best Debut Indie Game. And amongst the nominees for that category was the game Megabonk.
You talked about this some weeks ago.
We talked about this. It's a good game. I enjoy Megabonk quite a lot. I'm a big fan of Megabonk. I think it would be a very deserving nominee for Best Debut Indie Game if it were the developer's debut game. The creator of Megabonk publishes under a pseudonym because he's very private and doesn't particularly want, you know, a lot of attention on him, the human being, for the work he makes.
And which in this industry, smart.
Indie devs, yeah, I was about to say, we've seen more and more indie devs do this.
Yeah, and I think it's very reasonable.
Yeah, even guys we know, like, the names of, like Luca over at Poncore, like, still very private.
Yeah.
A lot of devs are, and yeah, absolutely. Not just a smart move, but I think it speaks a lot about how they view games, that's what they let do the talking.
Yeah. So, about a day after the nomination was announced, the official Megabonk account posted, "I'm withdrawing from the Game Awards. It's an honor and a dream for Megabonk to be nominated, but unfortunately I don't think it qualifies for the category of debut indie game. I've made games in the past. Megabonk is not my debut game."
Yeah.
To which Keighley had to go, "Okay, I understand. Thank you for being honest. I'm sorry, I'll remove it from the category." Which, I can't blame Keighley for not knowing, but it does amuse me that he got caught out a little bit.
Well, the thing is, yeah, I don't necessarily think this is anything Keighley did wrong.
No. It just amuses me.
It interests me because it was pointed out in I think it was Eurogamer you linked us to with the story. They pointed like Claire Obscure is in that category. No one, I think that's like a lot of former Ubisoft developers and stuff, right?
Yep.
It's like, what do we count as a debut?
Well, but it's a new studio. This is an independent developer who has apparently developed and published games in the past, so it's not.
But
now
he's publishing under different studio names.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I do think there is a distinction though, because it's about a composition of the team, right?
Yeah.
You know, this is an individual developer. He knows who he is. He knows that it is, you know, this is not his debut game, and it makes sense to me to have that delineation from a team composition that's completely new, you know, or even if not completely new, but even if it's excised of the executives who would have influenced those decisions, it's still a different team, right?
Yeah.
If anything, I think the biggest takeaway here is the integrity of that developer.
Yeah.
The Game Awards and it's the game industry. Two reasons why that person having integrity doesn't matter.
But it is also the same reason why finding someone who has integrity is somewhat surprising and novel.
But that is awesome, and that should get its own little award. We found a developer with a shred of self-respect.
Because, honestly, he very much could have either just stayed quiet, or he could have gone, well, this was the first game published by Venidad, the studio I made for this game, and would have been perfectly, I think, within his rights to do so. I do respect going, me getting this probably isn't in the spirit of this award, even in the face of mostly Ubisoft people come together to make a game, and mostly Telltale people come together to make a game. Good on him.
I think it's a very sweet and humble thing, and I respect that a lot. And it's a nice
little story, right?
It's a very cynical industry that we have, but that's a nice reminder that the actual people making the games, like I said developers with a shred of self-respect, that wasn't entirely fair, because the actual people making the games, that's where you will find the integrity, and unfortunately you won't find it the fuck anywhere else. And I think that is a genuinely sweet little thing to have done that did not need to be done.
Yeah. Good on him.
Good on him.
So that's probably a nice place for us to wrap up for today.
Well, I do have one more thing I want to add at the end here.
You've been a Columbo.
I know. But we did get a little bit of sad news this week. Rebecca Heineman, the programmer, better known perhaps as Burger Becky, who was a co-founder at Interplay and just a tremendous part of this industry for decades, passed away this week of an aggressive form of cancer. And I just wanted to make sure that we, remembered her briefly here at the end. Just a tremendous contribution to our industry, and seemingly a decent, good person. And their loss is going to be felt by a lot of people. So, rest in power, Burger Becky.
I wish I hadn't called you a podcast Columbo. Now it seems inappropriate. But no, that is a wonderful person to memorialize at the end there. Yeah. Well, just one more thing. Laura, can you tell us about the stuff you do? My wife loves you, but can you tell us about the stuff you do on the internet, please?
Laura K. Buzz, find the stuff. Patreon, that's where I get paid to make the stuff. YouTube, that's where I post the videos that are mostly about accessibility in the games industry. Twitch, that's where I play stuff. We're still working our way through Yakuza 0. We finally found out who owned the vacant lot, and now we're probably going to go back to silly, goofy side quests for a while. There's probably other stuff, but Laura K. Buzz, you'll find all the stuff I do. What about you, Conrad? Where are you out on the internet?
Oh, you can find me at Conrad Zimmerman on Blue Sky, and you can hang out with me on Twitch at twitch.tv/thatconradzimmerman, where I'm on Sundays, Mondays, and Tuesdays. You can buy anti-capitalist propaganda and Jimquisition merchandise at mercenarycreative.com, and everything that I do online gets supported through Patreon at patreon.com/fistshark. And you know who else has a Patreon? Stephanie Sterling.
Yes, patreon.com/Jimquisition. You'd think if people wondered why there hadn't been any videos in a while, they'd look at the last video I did where I said that there won't be any videos for a while. But I've had a few people really concerned, and I'd have looked. But there you go. Working on a new script for the Jimquisition, which I was hoping to be more kicked up, gearing up for it and have actual announcements and stuff last week, but then got fucking ill because life just keeps happening. But we'll have news on that soon. Things are kicking back up, but you can support that, the actual web show and this podcast, and reviews on thejimquisition.com. There are reviews on that website for Arc Raiders and Sacred 2 at the moment, and that's all done on the Patreon, as I say, .com/Jimquisition. Otherwise, you can check out my work in Vampire Survivors, Date Everything, and Quantum Witch. Vampire Survivors: The Grimoire is coming out in the first half of next year, and I will have other news about game things that I've been working on. I'll have more news on that in the future. Some really cool stuff happening. Until then, we will see you all next week. I am going to go look at some more cats, and thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.